Good morning once again around the diamond. We're here for you. Beautiful Saturday. Another great week of baseball. A lot's been happening. I don't even know what else to say. I'm just going to jump right into it. Baseball Bill, as always, how are you doing on this fine Saturday morning?
I'm doing awesome, and it's a little different today because I am not on the West Coast. I'm actually in Boston. So for me, this is kind of a fun one. I mean,
You came to
I'm
my
on
neck
your
of the woods?
coast.
You came to my neck of the woods? You
Yeah,
came
I
to
wanted to
my
be
side of
3 hours
the
ahead. Yeah.
I feel so honored to even have you
Ah,
on the coast.
you should be. You should be. No,
I,
please.
I truly am. But we have some exciting things we're going to tell the fans towards the end of the show. They're definitely not going to want to miss out on this. But we're going to jump right into it. I'm going to take the American League this week. Um, so let's just take a quick look at this. The Orioles still leading in the AL East. This is the first time I think all season we have a team in the American League East that is below 500. First time. The
Mhm.
Yankees now have more losses than wins. And we're going to talk about that again a little bit later in the show. But Rays still holding a close race. Blue Jays, though, really fighting for one of those wild card spots along with the Red Sox. It is going to be a tight battle in this AL East division all the way down to the last week. Moving over to the Central, again, really nothing exciting to look at here. You know, I'm highlighting the Royals to give them something to shine about as far as I'm concerned. But again, Twins 64 and 59 leading that division, probably still going to end up with less than 85 wins or right at that mark. And then moving over to the West, Rangers and Astros continue to battling strong. Rangers still have, I think, was it 2.5 games right now,
Yeah, something
but
like that.
they the Astros are not holding back. Mariners are still in close competition for that wild card, but who knows? There are still about 35 plus games left in the season. They are not out of it yet. Watch that Mariners race to kind of itch up that ladder. Bill, anything on the AL side?
No, we're gonna have our first 90 game. Oh, it's gonna be a loss. 90 game losses. Oakland
Wow.
should complete that this year or this week, right?
It could
I
be this
mean,
weekend. Could be this
yeah,
weekend.
it could be this weekend. They could end up with darn near close to 100 losses going into September. I mean, that's impressive. That's hard to do.
I think you and
So,
I need to start taking wagers on how many losses they'll end with for the entire season.
yeah, the Yankee one surprises me though because they're 2-8 in their last 10, and right now Boston has a chance to stick their proverbial foot on their throat, and so we'll see how it all plays out.
Oh yeah, and I'm surprised though. You really didn't say anything about that central market. No,
What
nothing
Central?
enticing you?
What Central?
I like the way you think, Bill. I like the way you think.
Yeah.
Bill, take me through this NL. What's happening?
Uh, Braves are still red hot, absolutely red hot. They're 21 games away from winning 100 games this season. I, I think that's an inevitability. Phillies are still kind of picking it up. Marlins are trying to battle their way back. Mets, we'll see you next year. Nationals, thanks for coming. The Central gets exciting again. Now, the Cubs, who I have predicted in many places to win this division, have slowed down a bit. So that's getting a little exciting. That division actually has a race between the Brewers, Reds, and Cubs. Um, Cardinals and Pirates, thanks for playing. The West is starting, and I'm not picking on you, Sam, but the West is starting. The Dodgers are starting to run away with the West as far as that's concerned. Now, the Dodgers still have, I think, 6 or 7 games with the Giants this season, but currently the Dodgers are up by 10 games on the Giants, so they're kind of running away with that. But again, anything can happen. They still have 41 games left to play. They're up by 10. A lot of things you have to fall apart a lot. And I'd say the same thing if the Giants were up by 10. So um the Padres for the most part are done in the division, um, as are the Rockies for sure done with the division, possibly the Diamondbacks. So in that division is just Dodgers and Giants, which is what isn't that what the way it's supposed to be?
And hey, that's the way I always look at it. And I just want to apologize to the fans out there. The Diamondbacks are actually 59 and 64. Current the Diamondback. Oh, I'm sorry. The Diamondbacks are currently 62 and 61. That 5 did not update to a 6. That is my fault. I want to just voice that out there.
Public
Uh,
school, Jersey, it's okay. We got it.
it's it's what we do. Um, I think the thing that's most shocking on here is the Mets could possibly end with the worst division in the National League, worst record in the National League East. Can we
It's a
just take
possibility.
a second, roll it back, and think about this? Where they started this year, having Verlander, Scherzer, Alonso was on fire. The team looked like it was going to almost run away with the National League East on paper. I mean,
Yeah,
on paper, I don't think you and I would have ever thought it'd be in this position. And now
no,
the Mets could be the Yankees, be what New York as a whole could be in last place at the end of this year.
yeah, yeah,
You think
yeah.
it's a high probability?
High probability because the Nationals are 7-3 in their last 10, and they've actually been showing signs of life. And so they've actually got a pulse, and the Mets are struggling to find that pulse right now.
Yeah. So very interesting way for them to see it. But yeah, it's hard for me to look at the West and see that 10-game lead. But like you said, a lot of baseball left to play. Anything could happen.
Yeah.
I
Now,
gotta hope,
I
right?
will say this, Sam, if we get when we're doing this next week, when we do this next week, if the Dodgers are still ahead of the Giants by 10 with now 36 left to play, I'm not going to call it, but I'm going to say it's really, really hard for the Giants to come back.
Oh
They've got
yeah.
to pick up a game or two because you can't go into the series with the Dodgers being down 10 games. You can't affect, I mean, you just got to keep winning. And 3-7 in the last 10 doesn't get it done, especially since the Dodgers are 14-2 in August.
Yeah.
It's
Right
really,
now,
really hard.
absolutely not. They are not having a good August. They need to turn it around in this next week. And hoping that my presence at a couple of those games can help.
Hey, listen, I think they're playing well in August. I like where they're at in August.
Thanks. They need to be a little bit better.
Nah, we're good.
Moving on. Let's take a quick look at some of these stat leaders. Arias has just been killing it on that batting average leaderboard this year. Like you can't really touch him. And then Olsen has just kind of run away with the RBIs. Bill, what about you? What are some highlights on this board to you?
So Cody's on there now,
Yep.
which is interesting because he's had a great month and some change. Um, Tucker's on there, which is not interesting to me at all. I mean, Tucker's really good. He's one of those quiet people on the team that nobody talks about because they're so worried about Jose Altuve or Jordan Alvarez or whatever. Um, those are interesting. As far as the pitchers are concerned, Stash still won't get to 20 wins, but now that he's got 14, Gallon having 13, I was happy to see him get that win. And Stash has an outside shot. Spencer Strider has an outside shot for about 250 strikeouts, maybe 275
Yeah.
before the season's over because he's got what 6 more starts or something like that. So if he averages 8 strikeouts over 6 starts, that's 48 more strikeouts. It puts him over 270. I would love to see him get 300. I just don't think he's going to.
No, I think we're seeing, I think the surprising thing on the pitcher side is really how many strikeouts they've been getting. Some of these pitchers, like, I never would have thought with the way they changed the pitch clock rule that some of these guys would like that we'd even have someone with 200 plus strikeouts.
Yep. And my boy Lance Treadmill Lynn is on there now. So welcome to LA, Lance.
Isn't it funny how sometimes players, they go from last to first, and all of a sudden their mood changes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a crazy thing to happen.
Crazy
But
thing.
a small increase on our stolen base leaderboard this week, but we have a new addition to the board.
DJ Abrams.
CJ Abrams has been kicking it into gear, and you kind of touched on it with Washington in their last 10 games, coming in 7-3 and really trying to step it up towards the end of this year. Do you think they're just kind of trying to do something to show that they want to be competitive next year?
Maybe. I mean, when you think about it, so Oakland and Kansas City are going to have the hardest time. I'm gonna use the term recruit decent talent at the end of the season. First of all, when you lose over 100 games, nobody gets excited about signing with that team in the offseason.
Right.
Second of all, when you don't know where you're going to play next year, whether it's Vegas or Oakland or the Moon, that makes it difficult. Washington has a great ballpark. They got a great fan base. They're not considered in baseball a big market team because they haven't had the history of winning. Winning the World Series is, one time, doesn't make you lights out. But since then they've kind of fallen apart. So they might be. I think it's more of just letting the kids be kids and letting them play.
I think it's fair. I think that's a good way of putting it. But what about this home run leaderboard? I mean, come on.
Yep.
I mean, Shohei Ohtani finally has a colleague at his
Dance
level,
partner.
a dance partner, a duet, so to speak, if you will. But yes, we have our National League and American League home run leaders tied. I think my question for you, Bill, is who's going to end up on top at the end of the year?
That's a very good question. Matt Olson keeps destroying the ball, which keeps surprising me because he's a good hitter. I didn't think he was that power great hitter. They're both going to end up with over 50 home runs. I think Shohei will slide him by just a little bit. I think Matt will end up about 51, 52. Shohei will probably end up with maybe 55.
Okay. You think it's just because of his approach to the ball, more or less?
Yeah. When you have a guy like Shohei, so when you got a guy like Matt Olson, you have to pitch to because there's a number of people on his team that you don't want to have to face with runners on base. So
Right.
you have to pitch to Matt Olson. With Shohei, name me another person in that lineup that you're worried about. So you can pitch to him and it doesn't matter.
That's true. Very true.
So, yep.
But I gotta give you your credit where credit's due. There is a Dodger kind of just dwindling there at the end, holding on to the ledge, just itching to hang on.
Yeah. Well, next year this will probably change because I hear they're going to offer Barry Bonds a hitting instructor thing in San Francisco. So this will be lit up with all the Giants. Miraculously, they'll go from hitting 2 home runs a season to hitting 57. But I'm sure
That's
that's just Barry's Toolage. No, I'm teasing.
that's what I think it is. I think it all has to do with his remarkable talent to increase home runs in the San
Yeah,
Francisco.
no.
uh,
Injury
unfor-
report is what it is.
It is what it is. The only one that unfortunately is impacted on this is Garrett Clevenger for
Yep.
Tampa Bay. They are more likely than not going to lead that wild card race in the American League. But this one out for the season is tough for them. There was also another one, Bill, that you had mentioned to me earlier, just before we started the show, regarding a pitcher getting Tommy John. Who was that again?
Shane McClanahan.
Yeah, so unfortunately, he'll be on the bench for an extended period, but obviously we wish our best to him and his
Yep.
recovery.
Yep.
As we do with every pitcher and everyone on the injury report, we're here for you. Feel free to give us a call if you need some ideas on rehab assignments. We're here. We got some good ones. I'm waiting. My
Leave me a
wait.
voicemail. You'll probably get my voicemail, but it's okay.
Let's talk about some fun topics, Bill. We got
Huh?
some good stuff to talk about today.
We do.
So, you know, right now what we're looking at are the leaders or teams that are still in playoff contention. Where in the wild card race. Who's got the toughest remaining schedule?
Sam, who's missing from the schedule? Oh, wait, the Padres. That's right. You don't like them. Okay, never mind. No, I'm these. Sorry, Padre fans out there. We're just messing with you.
With 5 games back, I felt like
We're just messing with you because you're talking to a Dodger and a Giants fan. So, we're yeah. Um,
so we're all about.
it's funny, Sam. I did some research on this before we filmed today, and honestly, this is going to shock you, but the toughest schedule in front of them, at least for the rest of August and early September, is the Boston Red Sox.
Interesting.
They have a number of playoff teams that they are going to fight with, and it's unique how um, these teams are, yeah, stacked up. Some of them don't have huge schedules that are, schedules that you look at and think, oh wow, that's going to be a tough one. But with the Red Sox, yeah, they got, yeah, they have something going on. So I'm trying to pull up for you what I mean by that. So give me 1 second here, and I'll tell you exactly what I'm talking about here. Yep, here we go. So they have two more left in the Bronx, which if they do to the Yankees what they did last night to them, yeah. Then they go to Houston and they play four in Houston. Then they come home and they play the Dodgers for three. Then they go to, or then they play Houston for three. So Yankees for two more, Houston for seven more this month, and the Dodgers for three. So tell me that that's not a rough August.
It's pretty harsh if you ask me. I'm pulling up the remaining teams in the American League and their schedule as well on my end of the pond. Or well, actually in my neck of the woods, considering we're on the same coast. Yeah, looking at the Mariners right now, the rest of their August is pretty light. I think the toughest team they've got is who they're facing right now with the Astros. And then going into September, they got really 5 tough series. They got Tampa Bay series, the Dodger series, and then one away in Texas with the Rangers, one at home with the Rangers, and then one at home with the Astros. With the Red Sox, ooh, yeah, just the rest of their August is brutal.
Yeah.
Oh,
And when you
honestly.
look into September, they start with Kansas City, but then they get Tampa Bay, and in addition to Tampa Bay, they get the Orioles left and the Rangers. So there's no rest for the Red Sox. If they're gonna
And
do
not
it, they've got to do it now.
and don't forget, they also have they got Tampa Bay twice. They've got the Orioles. It's the Orioles twice, Tampa Bay twice. And they also have the Yankees at home and the Blue Jays away. And the Blue Jays are still in playoff competition. So yeah, they really don't have it easy at all. Going to the Yankees, I mean, the Yankees really are the team that needs from just the rest of their August, they need to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
They've got one really, this is a tough series for them. Of course, it's always tough going up against Boston. But the toughest remaining series they have is with Tampa Bay. And then looking into September, I mean, they start off with Houston. Yeah, I mean, the Yankees are the team right now with the easiest schedule, in my opinion. I think
But they're playing the worst.
that's what?
But they're playing the worst.
Right. Then that's the thing that I think they need to take advantage of.
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
next couple of weeks. But what about the National League side? If you're looking at
yeah.
this National League schedule, and oh, I didn't even get to the Blue Jays. Sorry, not to go back to the American League real quick, but the Blue Jays have got a pretty, I'd say, middle of the road schedule. They've got two series with Tampa Bay, um, one 4-gamer with Texas. But I think the Blue Jays have got the best chance of remaining playoff contenders. With the Yankees more likely than not looking from the outside looking in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so again,
Very
not to go
true.
back, not to revert myself again, but let's look at this National League side. If you're looking on the National League side of the pond, who out of these 6 teams would you say has got the hardest remaining schedule?
I can tell you who has the easiest remaining schedule.
And who's that?
Cubs.
Okay.
They've got two left with Kansas City, three with Detroit, four with Pittsburgh this month, then three with Milwaukee, who's the current is the division leader, right? Um, and then they, you know, it, their schedule in September gets a little difficult towards the end of it, but in August that's their time to move.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
that's their time to move, Senor. That's their time to move.
so if you had to pick out who has the hardest remaining schedule.
Um, Honestly, the hardest remaining schedule would probably go to either the Diamondbacks or the Giants, because again, towards the end of the season, you have um, you have a lot of divisional play, and
Right.
right now there's three really good teams in the West. And that's the Giants, the Dodgers, and obviously the Diamondbacks. The Dodgers and Giants do play each other 6 more times this season. So for the Giants, those are must wins. If the Dodgers come in and sweep all 6 of those games, not only do they knock them out of the West, but they could knock them out of the wild card as well. So the Giants do have a little bit tougher of a schedule.
Now, what about the Reds? They've been kind of this dark horse team throughout the rest of the season. And I'll go through with you their remaining schedule. So they got two more
Yeah.
with the Blue Jays. They got four in Anaheim. I'm sorry, 3 in Anaheim, 4 in Arizona, 3 in San Francisco, and that's just to finish August. Then you go into September, you got 4 with the Cubs, with the first 2 games being a doubleheader.
Yep.
3 at home against the Mariners, 3 at home against the Cardinals. Then they're back on the road for 3 in Detroit and 3 in New York. Back home again for 3 against the Twins and 3 against the Pirates. And finishing out with 2 against the Guardians and just confirming 3 against the Cardinals to wrap up and finish on August 1st. I'm sorry, October 1st.
Oh.
So hearing that schedule, and I know it was a lot of teams all over the place. What are your thoughts on the Reds and making a wild card spot?
Yeah, I feel good about that. It all depends on what the Giants and Diamondbacks do to each other.
Okay.
I don't know that the Fish are going to hold up in Miami.
Mm.
If I were a betting person, I would say that you. I think the Brewers are actually going to miss the playoffs, and they're 2.5 games up or 2 games up right now. I think they're actually going to miss the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see how that rolls. But you know, the Reds are going to make the playoffs this season. I would say that the Cubs are going to win their division. The Reds are going to make the playoffs. Now, how that plays for the playoffs right now, again, on paper, and this is why we don't play it on paper, but on paper, at the beginning of the season, I would have told you that the Mets and the Padres are in the National League Championship Series. Even though I'm talking about the Reds and the Cubs, on paper right now, based on pitching staffs, and based on what they're doing, then now the championship series is between the Braves and the Dodgers.
Unfortunately, I would have to agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, you're a baseball purist, so you understand that. But
I do.
Sam, we're almost out of time, so let's talk about what you and I are going to do this week, and we'll save the next topic for next week.
Yeah, no worries. So,
what are you and I doing this week?
So Bill and I have the luxury, the honor, the privilege, the finality, if you so speak, to fruition of finally meeting each other for the first time in person. So Bill is currently in a traveling mood. He is, as he mentioned, he is presently in Beantown, approximately 350 miles north of where I currently am. But he'll be making a nice travel down and ending up in the city of brotherly love, I believe sometime within the next 48 hours.
Yep.
And he'll be attending some Philadelphia Phillies versus San Francisco Giants games where I will be in attendance, and Bill and I will finally be meeting.
Yeah. We are finally going to meet.
Culmination.
We've been talking for over a year. We're finally going to meet in person. Even though I'm only 350 miles away from Sam, as one of his fraternity brothers said yesterday, he couldn't even drive up here to the watch party. But I'm not going to take it personal. I'm going to let him take that out on his fraternity brother. But yeah, not only are we going to meet in person, but we're going to catch two. Both Baseball Sidekick and I are going to catch two games in the city of brotherly love when they're playing the Giants. So Sam and I will get a chance to meet each other two different times. So
and we're going to jump on a live at least during one of those two games.
At least one of them.
At least one of them. But it's going to be a good time. I'm excited, Bill. I'm excited to meet you in person.
As am I. It's about time.
Again, it's been about 2-year culmination that we've been doing this, talking baseball. It's been exciting, but finally we get to put it all together. As always, Top fans, Around the Diamond fans, make sure you're checking us out every week for a new episode of Around the Diamond. We want your feedback. We want to hear what you want us to talk about. You have to drop us a comment, send us an email, slide into either of our DMs, whatever makes you feel happy. We just want to know what you want to talk about, and we will make it happen.
Absolutely.
And also, as always, check out TopFanRivalry.com for new articles, podcasts, merch, and watch parties. Maybe not for the remainder of this season. I don't know if Bill has something in the works for back at home, but definitely check it out for next season. Bill is going to be traveling all over. It's already in the works. I know he's got that mastermind working at hard, figuring it all out. But Bill, any final comments for the fans?
Hey, you said it great. We do have a watch party in Houston on Labor Day. We will be in Kansas City on, I think it's the 16th of September. But pay attention. There might be something fun happening in November when the season's over. I'm going to tease that for right now. And then we'll talk about it here coming up here pretty quick. So Sam, as usual, great job today. Thank you for all that you do. Top Fan Rivalry followers, those of you that are listening, go check out, if you're watching this on YouTube, go check out TopFanRivalry.com. Go into the locker room. It's $6. You get a chance to see all the rivalry talk that you want, all kinds of exclusive content for $6 a month, this is a sports talk fan involved site, which is amazing. If you're watching this through the TopFanRivalry.com, go follow us on Instagram if you're not doing that, or subscribe to us on YouTube. We put up a bunch of fun stuff. So, Sam, thank you. I love being on your coast, and let's do it again next week.
As always, don't forget, if Bill forgot to mention, if you do go and you do want to sign up, make sure you use the code in all caps APD. That will get you 10% off anything you purchase inside the locker room. But as always, from us to you, thank you for joining us, and we will see you on the field next week.
See ya.